In this video, last is a derivative using the rules now, no? So that's my example of 5 about any biology about as it different, no? So this is the straightforward one. The first one, it's a y is equals to 3x cubed minus 3x squared plus 5x minus 3. So once we derive yabo mawunikeze u-f at x mawumderive ubo f prime, mawunikeze u-y no-x mawumderive ubo dy dx. Mawuyithole nje mawusuderive you remove u-dx, you remove nama-bracket, yeah. So this is just a notation yabo a derivative, a first derivative. So masiderive la kuze uderive kumele kube yi-term yabo, kungakhona izinto eyi-multiplier. Makhona i-multiplier, you must multiply first yabo until kuze kube yi-term. Then i-term eyi-1 uderive kayi-1. So masiderive lana, then we're gonna have y prime, let me just say we're gonna have dy dx, which will equal to low times low, is about 9x squared, because 3 times 3 is 9, 3 minus 1 is 2. Then 2 times 3 times negative 3 is 6. Then 2 minus 1 is 1. Then 1 times 5 is 5. 1 minus 1 is 0. X raised by 0 is 1. So this is why lana ngingafaka maybe 1 kanje. Yabo 5 times 1 will be about 5. If you derive a constant, constant might derive iphenduka bani u0. So this is our final answer. Right? So must derive, you multiply the exponent with the coefficient, then you subtract 1 from the exponent. Multiply the coefficient with the exponent, then you subtract 1 from the exponent. 1 times 5 is 5, 1 minus 1 is 0, x raised by 0 is 1. So if we multiply 5 with 1, we get 5. Yeah? So let's do the example number 2. Okay, like dx is equals to this. Lana again, we should bring down dx. We only remove dx and the square bracket masesi derive. After we have derived, we can remove. Okay, because derive kumele kube term. Yabo since kuno squared, we cannot derive yabo nalo 2. So we must first multiply out until we have term. Then we can derive. So now we know what is brackets out 2x minus 5, 2x minus 5. Yeah, was value like a bracket. Since we haven't derived, we should bring down dx and the square brackets. So we must multiply out lona 4x squared. Lona it's minus 10x. Lona it's minus 10x. Lona it's plus 5 times 5 is 25. Then we put the square brackets again. Like terms la. So we bring down dx again with the square brackets. So 4x squared minus 10 minus 20x plus 25. Now we have term. We can derive. The number 1. So must derive we remove dx and the square brackets. Now because we're writing the derivative, 2 times 4 is 8x. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 times negative 20, it's minus 20. And then 1 minus 1 is 0. So we have like 1 minus 1. Then we have x raised by 0. Then we have 1. So our 60 also value 1 because 20 times 1 equals 20. Plus 25 is a constant. Must derive a constant or 0. So our final answer will be xx minus 20. So let's go to the third example. Our third example, we have this. Okay, asikwazi ukuderive if equation yethu it is in set form. Makune square root kumele sisuse, makune fifth root kumele sisuse. As we all know ukuthi square root siyafana nobani no exponent engi-1/2. So i-square root of x iyafana no-x which is raised by 1/2. Lo 1 ulo, u2 ulo lapha nanya lapha, plus. So this is the fifth root, iyafana nokuthi no-x which is raised by 2/5, because it's 1/2, nala should be 2/5, plus lo 6 useceleni, it's like 6 multiplied by, and then lana soba no-x which is raised by 1/3, which is 1/3. And then we can derive. Also we term without any square root, without x being at the denominator. So must derive again. We're just gonna write dy dx because equation is column y. Half multiplied by law. It's gonna be 1/2x. 1/2 minus 1, it's negative 1/2, plus 2/5 multiplied by 1, because we know there's a 1 now, goes about 2/5, then siba no x, and then we say 2/5 minus 1. Let me punch this first in my calculator. It's negative 3/5. So that's about negative 3/5, plus 1/3 multiplied by 6. 1/3 multiplied by 6. 1/3 multiplied by 6. So it's like 2. So now we're going to have 2, and then x 1/3 minus 1. Let me check that on my calculator. 1/3 minus 1, it's negative 2/3. Negative 2/3. So this is our final answer. You cannot derive unani with a square root or cube root or fifth root. So we should take out the square root, write the set form in exponential form. So it's 1/2, 2/5, and then it's 1/3. So let's go to the fourth example. So if we have a denominator ngaphansi, and the denominator is a single variable, or it's a single term. So since we should divide. Angithi we know x over 2 plus 3/2. Since the denominators is the same, we can just write one denominator and then we add numerators. So it comes with, if x plus y over 3, it's like we had x over 3 plus y over 3. So we can simplify it. Yeah? So now we're going to have 2x raised by 4 divided by x. We're going to take this term, we divide it with x. Then we're going to have 3x cubed divided by x. Then we have 4x divided by x. Yeah? So if you have a single term, just separate on term and divide. Now it denominates what we 3x. Ubuzo divide along 3x, divide along 3x, divide along 3x. Yeah? Sure. So let's simplify. Allow x will cancel x. Then we're gonna left with 2x raised by 3. X will cancel x, 3x squared. X will cancel x, left with minus 4. Then we have term. So we can derive it. So let's derive a la. And we're gonna have dy dx, which will equal to 6x squared, then minus 6x, and then plus 0. About 3 times 2 is 6. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. 2 minus 1 is 1. The constants become 0. No? So let's go to the last example. Okay, in this last example, let's start against that before. The denominator was a single term. So if the denominator is a single term, you should separate all the terms. City law divided by law, minus law divided by law, na law divided by law. But if the denominator is a term with more than one term, local should give you a hint. You should factorize, you should never separate. Factorize the top, and then uzobona ukuthi khona okuphezulu kuzocancel okungaphansi. So where's the local if the denominator has more than 2 terms, or has more than 1 term, if the terms are 2 or 3 or even more. So let's get derive. So we should factorize the numerator. Must factorize 3x, x, then 5, no 5, no 1, and then x over no minus, no plus. Because 5 times 1 is -5, then 3x squared, then 3x squared, then 3x minus 5x, we are minus 2. All still divided by x plus 1. Okay? So that's about low, cancel low. Then we have 3x minus 5. Yabo? Magnamathema modern just derive, just factorize the numerator, then conism days or cancel. Then we can derive. So since it's f of x, no value f prime of x, and then must derive 1 times low is going to be 3. The 1 minus 1 is 0. So x agasekho, because x raised by 0 is 1. Minus 5 is a constant, must derive a constant 0. So our final answer will just be 3. So I'll make a video now with more complex problems about the exam type of the rules.